Welcome to episode number 2 of your preview of Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship for 2019. Here at Racer X, Jason Weigandt, Steve Matthes, Jason Thomas. We'll be joined by David Pingree, who we have stationed throughout this, the heart and soul of motocross and supercross, especially in the off-season as we prepare for Anaheim 1. It's Pro Circuit. Big thanks to Mitch Payton and everyone here for letting us shoot our shows here. This is for episode 2. We're calling it We Can Be Heroes. There's a bunch of riders on the outside looking in that could potentially become race winners or even title threats this year. They're this close. We're talking about riders like Blake Baggett, Justin Barcia, Cooper Webb, and of course Chad Reed, who, regardless of if he's a contender or not, is probably still the most popular rider in the sport racing right now. So, of course, we'll acknowledge him here. But the real question is, can these riders break through? We're going to start with Justin Barcia, but I do want to mention our sponsors. Monster Energy coming on board this year as our title sponsor. Big thanks to them. They got us inside the Pro Circuit building. That's awesome. New Ray Toys. You can pick up semi-tractor trailers based on the actual factory equipment. Pro Taper, 100%, and LS2 helmets. Let's talk about the man who will pit out of this rig. Justin Barcia, what a breakthrough for him. I gave it a 90% chance of failure last year. I thought Barcia was done and buried. I thought there was no chance he would get back to his old heights. He almost did. He didn't win a race last year in Supercross, but he was on the verge before he got hurt, and he was second in points when he went out.
Well, you really blew it with that, but then I said he should have stuck with his Honda.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's
here.
I don't know what's worse, but yeah, absolutely. Justin Barcia was phenomenal last year. What a comeback story. He got married. This offseason he gets some LASIK surgery. It didn't work, judging on what we saw in Geneva. But there's plenty of
things.
He's
running into guys.
Yes. Yeah, just I don't think he saw Christian Craig.
Okay.
But no, listen, that was a really cool story, and I think with the Yamaha guys as well, they needed that, a rough little bit of reintroduction for those guys into the sport after years of not having a factory team.
Yeah.
They needed that sort of validation of their bike, and what a cool story. And I think Justin's going to continue with this year. I think he's going to just keep on going on. Will he win a race? I'm not sure, but he'll get some podiums.
Yeah, I think so. It's really been a complete reset. If you go back to 2013, 2014, he came out and he was the odds-on favorite to take the next step, start winning races. He was already doing that to contend for a championship. And then we saw the troubles he had. 2018, he started over again. He was right back on the box at Anaheim 1. He was in contention until he got hurt, as we know. But I think the same thing. I think he's going to come out in 2019. His head is in a good place. I think he's really happy on the team he's on. That Yamaha is really just seems to gel with him for whatever reason. And to see him running up front again, I fully expect it. The real question is, can he seal the deal and actually win one of these things again?
How good did he look opening practice for A1 last year? Just right away. Just whipping it, revving it. Fantastic, and he really feels at home on that bike. And man,
I still thought it was fool's gold though in practice. I really did. Until the main event, I was like, okay, he's legit because he was able to go the whole race, run up front, do that again. We hadn't seen that in years.
Yep.
So to think he won't be there in 19, I think we have to believe that.
To give you an idea of the improvement, here's a graphic. Look at Barcia's average finish in 2017. 13.5 was his average finishing position in Supercross. Now, granted, he started the year hurt, came in at midseason. Some riders can get back to it instantly. Barcia's always kind of struggled to come back when he's hurt. Last year he was healthy. 5.7 was his average finish in the races that he did do, but he missed some with an unfortunate hand injury. We're going to send it over to David Pingree for his thoughts on Barcia in 2019.
All right, thanks, guys. We're back here in the dyno room with Schneike. This is Barcia's old mechanic back in the glory days, his factory connection Honda days when he first came out of the amateur ranks into the pro ranks. They won championships together. This was his beginnings. Schneike now works back here dynoing, making fast parts for Pro Circuit. And for a guy like Barcia, who came from that elite level, winning championships, and then just fell. He had a really couple of rough years between injuries and just not believing in himself, bottom line. He wasn't riding like Justin Barcia, period. So it's really interesting to watch what he went through last year. From losing everything, basically, no ride, he had to get his own bikes, find his way to the Monster Energy Cup. He was scraping together sponsors, put in a decent showing there, and he got a ride with Yamaha, and it was kind of a rebirth for him. He came out swinging, and he delivered for Yamaha. He got great finishes all year long. He looked like the Justin Barcia of old. But I still think he's got more in the tank. I think that this year, if you look at what he's got going for him, he's recently married. He's got some off-season races he's already done, and he's looking good. He's got this entire off-season now to get comfortable on the new Yamaha, do testing, get himself prepped and ready. There's no drama going on, switching bikes or not knowing what team he's going to ride for. Everything's laid out for him to have a breakout season again. I think that we've not seen Justin Barcia's full potential, and I think in 2019 there's a good chance we will see it. I'm a fan. I'm pulling for him. So good luck, Justin. Go get him. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks, Ping. And yes, there was Schneike back there. I think even to channel his inner, Barcia was even working on a Honda in the back. Don't forget that Pro Circuit does do stuff for all bikes, even though their race team is a Kawasaki team. So it's not shocking to see a red bike back there. One other thing about Barcia, when he started doing well, everyone said, well, dude, he was humbled. His back was against the wall. He had to come out swinging. I don't buy that. It wasn't like he wasn't trying. No one said Barcia was a slacker when he wasn't doing well. And even further, guys, he denied it to me. He just said, I wasn't comfortable on the bike, and I finally was on a bike I was comfortable on. So there you go, Steve. Bike setup.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Yeah, it wouldn't have anything to do with the 4-race deal he was on and the last chance at the factory equipment.
No, bike setup, bro.
Bike setup, that was it. All right, we'll do that.
Bike setup.
He did credit the changes that Yamaha had made for 2018 to the bike, and I had also heard from Davey Millsaps, who he was filling in for, let's not forget, how far along the Yamaha had come. So there might be something to the bike, propelling him forward as well.
It's such a good bike. I got one.
Yeah, you're Blue Crew all the way.
Yeah.
Now,
Army,
when that Yamaha was changed for 2018, the majority of the hype on that bike was actually based on Cooper Webb, who struggled in his first year on a 450 in 2017. The bike was changed for 2018. We were going to see a whole new Cooper Webb. We didn't really. It wasn't really any better for Webb in 18 than it was in 17. This was the hottest property in the sport coming out of the 2016 season on the 250. It just didn't work for whatever reason. Now we have the huge change. I think Webb is the most intriguing rider of all. He could be really good or he could be really bad. I don't know where this is going to go. If Cooper Webb starts to win races this year, it might sound crazy now, but why wouldn't he? He was supposed to be this good all along. Could this be the change that works?
Yeah, I'm with you. He's the most interesting rider for me for this season. We know he's down there with Alden Baker, down in Claremont with Osborne, Anderson, and Musquin. He's on the new bike, which is, I think it suits him better. He's a small guy. Small guy, JT. Small bike. Yamaha, bigger bike. Big guy. It's true. Right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think there's some of that going
But
on.
the KTM is a little bigger than it's been in the past. The 18 model, they made the frame a bit bigger and the chassis a bit bigger.
I'm interested to see and I honestly, if you tell me right now, hey, look, the kid's been injured in 3 out of the 4 series he's done since he got the 450s.
Yeah.
If you told me like, hey, Cooper Webb got some podiums this year and he squeezed off a win, I'd be like, okay. If you told me, hey man, more 6s, 7s, 8s this year, I'd be like, okay. Like, I don't know how this
It could go any direction. I totally agree. Yeah.
Well, and we'll get into it, but we also have to factor in guys like Plessinger and Osborne and these guys. The job's not going to get easier. If anything, it's going to get tougher because what's assumed, Tomac's healthy all season, Musquin's healthy all season. So, yeah, hopefully he takes a step forward and makes the racing at the front better. But if he doesn't, I don't think we could be surprised either.
Hold on, though. You are the biggest Alden Baker fan there is.
That's not true. I'm
you
a fan
are
of his,
100% believer of his program. So why don't you think...
results don't lie.
Yeah, okay,
Right.
that's fine.
Okay.
That's always your comeback.
Sure,
Results don't lie.
Hey, I don't argue it either. The last, 8 championships have come out of there?
But so why don't you think this is automatically going to put him up? Because you sound like you're on the fence.
I think it will help. But we've seen Brock Tickle. It didn't. Jake Weimer, Tyler Ratchet. We've seen that program not catapult guys up.
Yeah.
So there's a precedent for it.
I'm just wondering because you're.
I do think the program works, but we have plenty of test cases where it has not worked for people also. So it's not a guarantee. I just believe when you have that many championships, going back to one program, there's some credence to it, but it's not a guarantee.
I'm very surprised, Cooper Webb. We're sitting here 2 years after his coming out of 250 class, and he has 3 career podiums.
We have the stats actually right here. Two
career
Supercross podiums in the 2 years. Yeah, you were darn close.
Yep.
Average finish is 9.6, but honestly, that's exactly what it always felt like. He was around 9th, 10th most of the time.
Yeah.
We never really saw that spark that was so brilliant.
Or we
on
saw it
250.
and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then the next race he would get hurt in
Yeah.
Minneapolis or a few races come to mind.
Yeah, it's so tempting to say, oh, now that he's on KTM and now that he's with Alden, it's just going to work. But it's disrespectful to the people he was with. That would be saying that the Yamaha was junk and his old trainer, Gareth Swanepoel, was junk. And he's done great work with both Webb and Aaron Plessinger. Like, these people know what they're doing. So to just assume and guarantee he's going to take this giant leap, it's a bit of a stretch. It's in play.
So I have it straight.
Yes.
Barcia's bike didn't suit him, but this Yamaha suits him. And Webb's old bike, the Yamaha, doesn't suit him, but this bike suits him? Okay, got it, everybody. Right, got it. Perfect.
Let's get some analysis of these two motorcycles. Pingree's grabbed one of each back in the race shop at Pro Circuit. Ping?
All right, guys. Yeah, Cooper Webb's a little bit of a mystery to me. You know, he's a guy that I expected to come out really swinging when he moved on to the 450, and we never quite saw it. I will say this. When you look at the Yamaha and the KTM and you look at guys that have ridden these two bikes, the folks that seem to suit the Yamaha are bigger, taller riders, stronger riders that can just be comfortable on it. I don't know why that is, just something about the chassis and the ergonomics. For the KTM, I don't think there's a specific size or type of rider that works on it. And going to this bike isn't an automatic recipe for success. Look at a guy like Brock Tickle. His results didn't necessarily change moving to this bike. So I don't think it's a guarantee for Cooper Webb. However, there are some bikes that guys just don't agree with. Your riding style doesn't work the way that bike works. And so sometimes you need to move to a different planted pot to grow. I think that's the best expression I can use. So even if it's a lateral move, it might be better for Cooper, and I'm anxious to see. I certainly don't have the answers of whether or not this orange bike is going to help him, but I'm curious to see what it does. Cooper definitely has the talent. On a 250, we saw that guy dominate and put in gritty rides with broken wrists, winning titles, racing the outdoor series injured and still winning the championship. So there is so much under the hood in that guy, and we just haven't seen it in the 450 class yet. So, can Roger and Ian and the boys over at KTM draw that out of him? We'll find out. Back to you.
Well, there you go. Ping feels the same way we all do. It's just you can't guarantee it. And I even talked to Webb about the switch at Monster Cup, and he said the same thing. It's not like I can guarantee this is going to work, but I just feel like I have to try something to see if he can reach the heights that he was expected to reach all along. Now, as much hype as there was for Webb when he moved up, there was very little hype for a guy like Blake Baggett when he moved up. And in many ways, he's kind of delivered. He hasn't gotten a 450 Supercross win. But here's a quiz for all you fans at home. Who was fourth in points last year? It was Blake Baggett. Do you think anybody thinks of Blake Baggett as the guy that finished fourth in points last year?
No, I feel like 2017 was a step backwards for Blake Baggett.
2018?
2018.
Sorry, my bad.
Well, because the outdoors the previous year was so good. Yeah.
And I agree, and I'm very close to that team. It was a team I raced for 6 years. I know that they battled with two things. They got the bike late. They didn't get the bike till the end of November, so that set their testing back. And then they were really challenged through the whole Supercross season with the different chassis. It took them a very long time to get where they felt like they were back in the 2017 position again. So it'll be interesting to see as they've had a whole year to get better with the bike, work, and I feel like Blake's in a much better place than he was, say, a year ago. At this time, we're in December, they were just trying to sort out a new motorcycle. So I look for him to have a much better January than he did last year.
The Baggett deal always makes me laugh. I feel like going into every season, there's not a lot of hype from the fans, but if you talk to industry people, flying at the test track. So much flying at the test track, and then inevitably the first couple rounds of either series, indoors or out,
he is a big
bike problems are all over
He is
the
a big
place.
flying at the test track guy.
Yes,
he
but
is.
then he's always out of sorts at the first couple races, and then you start maybe taking your standards down, and then 4 or 5 races in, he starts performing like you'd expect. He had a nice podium run midway through the season last year, and you thought maybe a win was coming. He has that ability in him. We'll just see if he actually gets there again. It's almost like with him, it's like lightning in a bottle. When is it going to strike?
Well, for me, as a former mechanic, he lost Nate, his longtime mechanic, in the offseason, and just saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you just saying?
I don't know what you're just saying. You didn't really just say. Well, he just
saying he doesn't have a mechanic
left,
anymore?
Yes.
Barcia lost Schneike. Things went south.
Oh, okay.
Mechanics are a very, very important part of the rider's equation.
They're people too.
Yes, they are.
Punters in football.
Yeah, right.
Want to thank our sponsors who helped us this year one more time. Monster Energy has come on as our title sponsor. Steve, at some point, we'll start crushing things as when you make your prediction of who your monster of the year will be. New Ray Toys, 100% Pro Taper and LS2 helmets. All right, yeah, got Pro Taper dialed in. One more person to talk about here. This is Chad Reed. And for the first time ever in the history of these shows, we are going to talk about Chad Reed without talking about James Stewart. I just did, actually.
Okay, I just want to say that nothing is over.
Still?
It doesn't mean that he's correct.
Still.
He hasn't raced yet.
At what point will you let this go?
Well,
how many years?
How old is Brayden? 34?
34.
Okay.
I think Stu's younger.
Stu's younger than that.
Yeah.
So until you...
My question was, how many years of him not coming around anymore will it take for you to be like, okay, he's done?
Well, Brayden's 34, so...
You mentioned that. How many years?
When Stu turns 37, it's over.
That's the breaking point for
Yep.
you.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. I think he was born in 1985, so we got
Yep. So
we're into the
until-
2020s.
Until then, we
Yes.
don't need to play JT's clip because he has not been proven right yet because it is still.
Oh, it still doesn't count.
I am proven right every day that he doesn't come back.
Play the clip. Play the clip.
Just you wait.
Play the clip. This is a strange situation. The
Stu's
world.
done. Stu is done. He's done.
Okay, JT, beautiful outfit there. That was excellent. Stu is done, he says, and I do not believe James Stewart will be lining up in 2019. But Chad Reed, never say die. We always say never bet against Chad Reed. But I think this was the first time that Chad Reed was about to be at peace, that he might not be racing this year. He said he would not build his own team. He was not going to fund his own effort this year. If a ride didn't materialize, he potentially was going to hang it up. As it turns out, Weston Peick is injured. We wish our best for Peick to come back. Huge injuries at Paris. I know that was a scary one.
Yeah,
we'll talk
absolutely.
about Peick in some of our other episodes. But as for Reed, it appears he's going to be back and racing with JGR Yoshimura Suzuki. Last year sucked for Reed, let's be honest. He was injured the whole time. He was sorting through bike stuff as he built his own program. It's a lot better situation, at least now.
Yeah, I think his injury was actually pretty good by mid-season, but now he was out of shape and he couldn't quite get himself into shape. You know, so it kind of was a dual threat.
Yeah,
for
it's a
Chad's
whole
finishes.
process.
Right.
You know, there were injury and fitness and no riding, and you know that all snowballs into poor results.
But Chad being Chad, I did like the effort to ship a bike via FedEx for the last 2 rounds because he felt like it was better.
But
I did like that effort.
But
Yeah.
being honest, he was much better. He was much better at the last 2 rounds on the new motorcycle. And we saw it. We were even mentioning it in practice. He looked like a different guy on the newer bike and the updated bike.
Well, I'm glad Supercross 2019 is coming and Chad Reed is still around.
Yeah, he is, and he'll be at the races, and one way or another, we'll see how the results go. I've heard he's not quite where, say, Justin Hill is speed-wise on the JGR Suzuki, but I don't think throwing down lap times is necessarily Chad Reed's specialty anymore. It's putting together an entire race, hopefully healthily putting together an entire season. But either way, it's just good to have like guys like that out there. They're fan favorites.
When it comes to Chad Reed, let's go to the expert.
Okay. All right.
Well,
How is he going to do?
the fun part about Chad Reed in 2019 is we've already seen how great of a starter he will be on that bike. I don't know of a time yet in this comeback on the Suzuki that he has not been to the front on a start, whether it was the outdoor race in the mud, whether it was in Australia or New Zealand. His starts are dialed. So that's a great sign for fans that want to see Monster Cup.
Ridiculous.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So for fans that want to see Chad Reed in the mix, he's going to be there. The question is, does he have the speed in the first 5 to 8 laps to stay with the fray? The Tomacs, the Muscans, the Andersons, when they sprint at the beginning, can he go with them? At Monster Cup, he wasn't there yet. We saw that he had a really tough time. In the final race, you know, Savacci was up there. He didn't have that elite group at the front. He was able to stay there. So I think that's where he really needs to focus. You already made mention of Justin Hill has a little bit of speed advantage over him. That's going to be where the rubber meets the road. If he can go with them at the beginning, if he has that elite lap time to not get gapped, the last 10 laps, I think you're going to be in for some excitement with Chad Reed. I don't have the answer for that question. At 36, 37 years old, can he go that fast at the beginning to make it a race?
Well, the awesome thing about Reed still racing is you can say you were a contemporary of his, you raced with him. You're now long since retired. Same thing for Ping. Ping has been retired forever and actually raced against Chad Reed. So we found Ping upstairs with some of the vintage motorcycles here at Pro Circuit. What do you think about Reed in 2019?
All right, guys. Well, I'm tripping out that Chad Reed's going to be 37 this year. I knew he was the oldest rider to line up, but that's blowing my mind a little bit. And ironically, we found one of his first race bikes here. Not sure what year it is, but it's way back when he was a young boy. Listen, I don't know how Chad Reed's doing it still, honestly. I think the one thing that he's got going for him is that throughout his career, he managed to avoid injury. And I think if you look at any of the older riders, Justin Brayton would be another great example. These two have just managed to stay healthy. Chad Reed did have a knee that he had reconstructed, and he did hurt his ankle a little bit last year. But when you span his entire career, if that's the worst injuries that he's had, that's pretty impressive. And those are not injuries that I think hamper him or get into his head and affect him psychologically. So I think physically he's 100% as far as injuries go. He still loves it. He's still got a passion for it, and the talent's there. So why not? I can't understand how he's still doing it at this age, but he is. I hope that he can get himself fit and be ready because I think those JGR bikes are good. I think that Chad Reed could come out and really surprise some people if he can be fit. Last year with that ankle injury, honestly, he looked like, every time I'd see him, he looked like he had a heavy Chinese meal with a lot of MSG. He was just a little puffy. I don't know if it was bad Chinese food or just maybe not enough cardio, but it wasn't the Chad Reed I was used to seeing. I would like to see that guy show up in 2019 and kick some butt and get another win and put another mark in the record books. Back to you guys.
Okay, I don't know if Reed actually rode like a 1983 Suzuki RM500, but he's definitely old. He's going to turn 37 this year. Like, look, we try to give Chad credit. We've all been Chad fans at different times of our career and our lives. We respect Chad, but 37, he's going to turn 37 during the season. That is advanced. So this is defying all odds if it goes well for him this year. So do you want to make some predictions out of these guys that we talked about here? Webb, Barcia, Baggett, Reed. You want to make a monster prediction here?
I mean, honestly, I love going to monster parties, and I love making monster picks. Chad Reed, you're my monster for this damn thing. You could do it. You can make the podium again. Do it. Make the podium. I predict one podium this year.
Oh, the all-time king of the podium.
And then the stadium will explode.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And then his VIPs will be so happy. Be fantastic.
JT will be. I like out of this group, I don't even think I'm really reaching very far this one. Barcia's going to be good. I think he's going to be good, but I like that ceiling on Webb. It's like if you want to put easy money, you know Barcia's going to be good all season. But if you want to run the high risk, high reward, Cooper Webb, we know the tools that he has. I think it really could be something for him. JT, you got any predictions for this group?
I'll go Baggett back in the mix. I like the fact that he's such a great starter. You could say the same for Barcia though. I'm leaning Barcia a little bit, but I think Baggett, he knows that 2018 was a bit of a letdown in Supercross. I think he's going to come in and really want to get back on track and back into race-winning mode like we thought he was in 2017.
Yeah. There were times where Baggett was on the verge. All right.
I'll just be 2-2.
All that 2-2. All right, that's your monster pick. Any fantasy stuff? These guys want to talk about some dumb fantasy league thing that really doesn't have anything to do with actual
Just don't
results.
be bitter because you sucked at it. PulpMXFantasy.com. It's something that we've started. It's a fun handicap league. You got to pick 4 riders per class. JT, for this group of guys, they're almost not bordering on some all-stars, maybe some all-stars, which you have to pick one who is in the top 8 each time. What's your thoughts?
Well, the interesting thing, I think Chad Reed is really the one you've got to pay attention to here because he was the one we would sit around and talk about, can we pick him? Can we not pick him? Is he ready, right? He's going to be that guy that maybe he comes in the season a higher handicap based on his 2018 results. Do you think he's going to perform at A1? Remember last year coming off an injury, he had to go to the LCQ just to get into this event, right?
Yeah.
He's not going to be anywhere near that. He's going to be, hopefully contending for a podium at A1. But that's where you really get into the strategy. Will Webb start out strong on the KTM? Will Reed bounce back on the Suzuki and be in the top 5? Those are where you can make up huge points because they came off of a rough 2018 season. No one really knows what to expect. We're not going to know what to expect handicap-wise for a 2019 season. So paying attention in practice, and you're going to have to guess a little bit on how these guys perform at the first round.
The part about paying attention in practice is something we stress on PulpMX Fantasy all the time, except, JT, for Chad, that doesn't always matter. He's a guy that you can't pay attention to in practice because he's not out there to set fast laps.
Yeah, he tries. It's just not a strong suit for him. I think he's convinced himself that it doesn't matter.
Right.
But he's trying. Yeah. It's not like he's not trying to set a fast lap time. It just doesn't come together for him.
But for fantasy purposes.
For fantasy purposes, yeah, you've got to almost put it in the back of your mind and say, are the conditions difficult? Are the whoops tough? Those are the things that propel Chad Reed to the front. Like Seattle in the mud, that's an easy one. You've got to, that's the great thing about fantasy is it's not straightforward. It's not cut and dry. You've got to take all of these little nuances and hopefully at the end of a 20-minute main event, you've got your good result.
PulpMXFantasy.com, you can play for free or you can pay to play and win a bunch of cool prizes, including the guys at 100% and Pro Tapers. So thanks to those guys. Join us.
Free? Did you say free?
Yeah, maybe you can.
Now you're speaking my language. Okay, maybe I'm interested in fantasy. Before we wrap this up, I want to thank the folks at Feld Entertainment. They're the ones that put this championship on, which gives us all this fodder to talk about. The schedule is out for 2019. We have it here. 2 venues returning. We're back to New Jersey, which is my roots.
Yep.
And the last time we were in New Jersey, 2017, was one of the wildest races ever. We're back in Detroit. And 2 new venues. We're in Nashville for the first time ever, and only the second time we ever had a Supercross in Denver, so that's cool to get some new venues. I know, JT, that's one of the things that really intrigues you, to go to new places.
Yeah, we've all been doing this series for a long time, to see new cities, to get all of these local people that have maybe gone to the Lakewood National, they get to go to the Denver Supercross now. I think it's a great thing. I think expanding not only domestically but globally for the series is going to be a positive thing across the board.
100% chance of a ton of hangovers at Nashville.
Really?
Yeah.
Specifically? Okay.
That's a very weird comment, but okay.
Yeah, and it could go in any
Wait till you
venue.
guys go to Nashville. You'll
Honky
understand.
tonk, or what are we talking?
You'll understand.
All right, they've got places to hang out. Go to supercrossonline.com and you can get the full schedule there. We'll see you at the races. This has been episode 2. We've got 3 more to go, so keep on watching.